Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 244. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have a dynamic show in store for you, family. Today we're going to be speaking with Mr. Felix Anderson. He is the founder of Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement. And I'm going to let you know right now, guys, you probably want to take some notes. So go grab a piece of paper and a pen or get out your phone to get ready to take some notes because Felix drops nothing but gems all through today's episode. Now, before we get to the episode, I have a few announcements and a couple of big announcements. First and foremost, I want to welcome any new listener to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the BEB family, and please stick around until the end of the broadcast where you can connect with me and get all my social media handles. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel also. Now, if you're interested in building a successful, sustainable e-commerce business, please check out my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can pick it up at anewblackwallstreet.com. It's $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Now, if you need additional assistance, I've created a compatible online course titled educatedecommerce.com. educatedecommerce.com. And this is one of my big announcements. Now, I mentioned last week, I believe it was last week, that I'm in the process of revamping and overhauling this course. And I've been working my butt off for the last couple of weeks, and it'll be revamped within the next 7 to 10 days. While I'm revamping it, the course is still live, but I'm doing one more promotion. So if you're interested in getting into the Educated E-commerce course, now is the time to do it. So I've created a coupon code. So if you go to educatedecommerce.com, the first 5 people that sign up using the coupon code 400 last call, 400 last call, go to the $497 price, drop down, put in the coupon code 400 last call. You're going to get $400 off the $497 retail price for an investment of only $97. And that's good for the first 5 people that sign up. Now, a couple of things about the course. Number one, I'm doing a complete course overhaul. So it's going to be new content, some of the old stuff, but it's constantly going to be new content. Now, if you've already invested in the course, you don't have to do anything because once you invest in it, any new content is also going to come up in your back office. So if you've already invested in educated e-commerce, you're good to go. You don't have to do anything. Now, I had a meeting with my board of directors, and yes, I do have a board of directors that I meet with every month. And we were just talking about my overall business. And one of the suggestions or recommendations that they had was that I had to get my pricing in line with my value when it comes to my online course. And so the normal retail price of the course is $497. You'll be able to get it for $97, 5 people within the next couple of days. Once this comes out, the first 5 people. After that, the actual price of the course will be increased. It will be increased. So if you're interested, get in now. Once again, just go to educatedecommerce.com, put the $497 drop down and hit 400 last call, 400 last call in the coupon line, and it's going to save you $400. So if you're interested, please get in now because price is going up within the next couple of days. So that's another big announcement. Also, all you black product producers, once again, and I say this every show, please go to besmartbyblack.com and upload your products so you can connect with black consumers worldwide. besmartbyblack.com. It's free to upload your products. Please go on there and also share it via social media. Now, all you black freelancers, if you sell anything or you have any services that you provide on freelancer.com or fiverr.com, I've created hireblackfreelancers.com, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com. Put up your specialty on there if you're a coder, if you do voiceovers, if you do videography, if you're a graphics artist, whatever. Put your information up there. It's free to upload your information. In this way, with these two platforms, we can help circulate the black dollars worldwide. besmartbyblack.com and hireblackfreelancers.com. And my last big announcement, in addition to the educated e-commerce promo, is Detroit. I said it last week. I'm coming to see you Saturday, March 23rd, 12 noon to 2 p.m. at the Northwest Activity Center. I'm going to be in Detroit doing a book talk and signing. So that's Saturday, March 23rd, 12 noon to 2 p.m. The Northwest Activity Center at 18100 Myers Road in Detroit. Any of the BEB family anywhere near Detroit, please come on out. I'd love to meet you personally, get to shake your hand and communicate with the BEB family. That's one of the best things about what I do, is the personal interaction with the BEB family. So please come on out. I'd love to meet you, shake your hand, and chit chat and chop it up with you so much in Detroit, guys. So once again, also, please don't forget Educated E-Commerce. If you're trying to do it, now is the time to enroll, family. Just go to educatedecommerce.com, use coupon code 400, last call, because it's the last call because the price is going up. All right, guys, now we're going to be on to today's episode with Mr. Felix Anderson. We are on the line with Mr. Felix Anderson. Felix, how are you this afternoon, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great this afternoon.
Great. I appreciate you taking out the time to hang out with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. And Felix, for my listeners who aren't familiar with you, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, in your own words, where you're from, and a little of your backstory, and then we're going to get into your entrepreneurial journey.
I'm Felix Anderson. No problem at all. I'm Felix Anderson. I'm founder of the Wake Your Successful Self Up movement. We started the movement about 3 years ago, and it started by just me uttering the words "Wake Your Successful Self Up" out of my mouth. I had someone that was listening to me on a particular platform, and these individuals, after 2 weeks after I said it, they said that their wife was battling depression. They came out of their depressive state. His wife came out of her depressive state, and he encouraged me to continue to say the words. After I spoke the words, "Wake Your Successful Self Up," continuously, people asked me to put it on a T-shirt, went all over the world, went viral. Then the book came as a result of me uttering those words in the T-shirts, and the rest is history. I'm from Mississippi. I live and reside in the great state of Mississippi. And this entrepreneurial journey isn't my first entrepreneurial journey, but it's the one that I'm currently walking out right now.
Cool. And we'll touch on a couple of those. I know I've had several journeys myself in my career. Felix, give us a little background. Did you go to college and then go to entrepreneurship, or how did that work? Because one of the things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family is there are a lot of listeners that are trying to make that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. So a lot of times we'll have family members that are straight from high school entrepreneurship. Some go to college and then corporate, then entrepreneurship. How did you make that transition, and where did you transition from?
My flow is a little bit different. I went to school for journalism. I went to school to be a journalist, and so majored in mass comm news editorial. I graduated in my senior year in high school. My senior year in college. I was working as a press secretary for a state senator here. And so I knew I wanted to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make sure that other people were looking good. That was my knack, to always be in that second seat. And then after I graduated from college, I went on to become a journalist. for the commercial appeal in Memphis, Tennessee, I realized very, very quick that I did not want to be in the newsroom on a day-to-day basis. And so I moved back, and my journey was a little bit different because when I moved back to the Jackson, Mississippi area, I had a hardship even after I had my degree. And so I had a lot of odd jobs. I was working as a waiter at a restaurant, working at a gas station. I was substitute teaching, and I was working at this place called Hollywood Video at the same time. And I was walking 5 miles to work. And so as I was walking 5 miles to work, nobody would hire me. I had my degree. I started practicing my signature. This was the first time that, it really dawned on me that I will be I'll be signing checks for other people. And so I began to start practicing my signature. I was in my closet one night, and I was just crying. I was just bawling, saying, this is not the life for me. And so my journey started career-wise, just a firm career-wise, as a research recruiter for the Jackson Heart Study. So I learned how to get a lot of no's in that journey, knocking on cold calls, knocking on people's doors, asking them if they wanted $5,000 worth of free medical treatment. And I had a lot of people telling me no. And then I went on to work as a library information specialist, which I didn't know what it was. I just knew that my old job had phased out because it was grant-based. And so that's when I realized that I have to create some level of consistency because I had recently gotten married. So I went to go work as a library information specialist. I didn't know what that was, but to make a long story short, I got introduced to doing graphics. So I was learning everything on a ground root level. Then I left that position and got offered a position as a director of agency relations for the Food Network, where I was over 374 plus agencies throughout the entire state of Mississippi. And I was the second person, the first male to be in that position within that organization. I left there, worked as a general manager of a physical therapy clinic, left the physical therapy clinic to go and work as a vice president of a food bank in Memphis, Tennessee. And when it was there, when I realized that the light bulb hit me, was that I was going to obtain true wealth working in the shadows for somebody else. Would I work with other people? Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I'm working with people, but I'm working for myself. That was that journey. So I left that vice president position to go and wait tables where everybody thought I was crazy, and I wanted to learn my passion on ground roots level. And so I left that position, started waiting tables, went from waiting tables to matriculating in the restaurant industry and serving as a corporate trainer and training other managers. And that's when I got the knack that I'm supposed to be teaching. And so I'm learning all of these lessons throughout the entire course of the journey. But while I was going through it, I was really confused as opposed to what I was purposed to do. But it wasn't until I got almost into the tip of the entering the entrepreneurial journey that I realized this is what I was purposed to do.
Man, while you were saying this, I was writing down all your jobs, and I think you got me beat, brother. But my hand is hurting right now. But but that's amazing, man. And everybody has a story and everybody has a journey. And just to think about where you came from and where you are right now, it's almost unfathomable. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just to think about that. But everybody has a journey. And I want the light bulb to go off for the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family right now. It doesn't matter where you start. It's where you finish. So as long as you're continuing to move forward in a progressive manner, then you're going to end up where you need to be if you keep pushing. Now, you mentioned along the way that you got married. How did your wife feel when you were changing jobs and doing all of this stuff and not necessarily knowing exactly what you wanted to do? What was that conversation like, if you don't mind us asking?
It was really a hard conversation because, my wife is, she's progressive, yet she's old school at the same time. And so my wife was thinking, okay, I'm going to be at home while my husband works. I'm going to be a housewife. That's what I want to do. But that journey of being a housewife doesn't always come off as if you're going to start off that way. So that journey was a little bit different because while I was writing my vision, while I was writing the plans and working on certain things, at a point, my wife was the breadwinner. And so as a man, there was an element of pride that I had to swallow. But then we realized that we're working together as a team. And she sat me down. She said, I know that I have to do this for a season so that you can have the time to build a foundation. So it was great to have that support from my wife because she saw the big picture. And she saw in me many times what I couldn't even see in myself. So she began to start speaking life into my life. And that was all of the encouragement that I needed.
That's a blessing, brother. My wife and I have had a similar journey, and you just have to understand, and you mentioned the key word, is teamwork. It's not you and it's not I, it's us. It's what we have accomplished. And that's right. So important. So BEB family, be it your husband, your wife, your partner, whoever, if you're listening, if you know your partner has a vision, you know they're determined, you know that, well, they know that this is something that they need to do, please support them. And support is different than tolerating. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because some people will tolerate it, but it's a big difference with support. I did an episode, I can't even remember the number, but turning a bum into a Superman. So if you give somebody support, they can run through walls because they know that you trust them, that you have
Absolutely.
their back and you support them. So all the spouses and partners of these entrepreneurs out here, please support your spouse or partner, because the journey is not easy, family. It's not easy. So
it's not easy
at all. So now, after all of these different positions and different things that you've done, tell us a little bit about your first business, and then we'll go into your next transition, because you said you had a couple of iterations.
Absolutely. My first business started off as a service business where I was actually working. It was Anderson Service and Consulting. And I was serving in a background position, helping other businesses get off the ground. I just knew that I was purposed to serve, but I didn't know in what manner. And for me, starting this entire blueprint, I had no blueprint. And so there was a lot of stuff that I had to learn on the fly. There were a lot of lessons that I had to learn on the fly. I then started a concierge company where we, from the time executives get off the airplane to the time they get back on the airplane, we would take care of them. Mm-hmm. And so there was nobody in my particular market that was doing it. And because nobody in my particular market was doing it, I thought, wow, I'm on to something. But what I didn't realize was that the market that I was in was really not ideal for the type of business model that I was seeking to operate. And so I had to make a few adjustments there. And then in making those adjustments, I realized that in order for me to really be successful, I need to sit under somebody else's leadership, and I need to go and work with other people. And at one point I had to go and work for somebody else. And it didn't negate the fact that I still had that entrepreneurial spirit on the inside of me. I just had to go and get some investment money. So it was a mind shift for me, because even though this business wasn't what I wanted it to be, I had to readjust my thinking and say to myself, I need to go and get the necessary investment money that I need and work with someone else, learn from their model so that my model can be better than it's ever been before. And I think that I learned this, and we see this to be true right now, even with Magic Johnson, as many adventures that he has. At this current stage, Magic now works for Los Angeles Lakers. And so when you look at someone of his stature going to work for an organization, not just working with them, but going working for an organization, it should speak truth to life about many of the entrepreneurs that are struggling right now with finding the resources that they need. Perhaps you may need to scale back, not to say that it's permanently, because you're still an entrepreneur. It's just a matter of shifting your mindset, as opposed to you saying to yourself, I'm working for them. No, I'm giving them my time, and they're paying me X number of dollars for the time that I'm giving them so that I can get the necessary investment money that I need so that I can go out and further what's already inside of my heart.
That's a great way to definitely think about it, because a lot of times when we may have to go back into corporate, or be it just to take care of yourself financially, or you go back in to learn. And so
Absolutely.
So I had a conversation, and matter of fact, I think I might have mentioned this when I was out in Mississippi speaking, and I was talking about my oldest daughter, and I know eventually she wants to go out on her own, but she's working in corporate now, and that's a great place to get hard skills. You know,
Absolutely.
Get hard skills,
Absolutely.
Contacts, and leverage. So now you leverage your position. And so a lot of times you don't know what you want until you know what you don't want. And that's the way to find out. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Felix, I wanted to talk to you real quick about once you transition now, I guess, did that morph into Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement? Is that what all of that came to?
Well, Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement, actually came when I was working as a chief administrative officer for someone else. Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement, was really not purposed to be what it is today, to be honest with you. You know how sometimes a life happens and you have to make the adjustments accordingly. And oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we have in our mind what we think our ideal customer, who we think our ideal customer is. We've done the numbers. We've done everything that we're purposed to do. And we think, okay, this is what people want. But when you release certain things, people will tell you what it is that they want. And it's up to you to make sure that you supply what it is that they're demanding from you. And so I had a lot of people asking me to coach. I had a lot of people asking me to mentor. I had a lot of people asking me to come and speak and to do the consulting piece of what Wake Your Successful Self Up Enterprise does. And it wasn't on my radar, but what I realized, all of the lessons that I learned in years past was really grooming me for this particular moment. And I was sharing this with somebody the other day, Jay, is that many times as entrepreneurs, we're so focused on doing the concert that we don't take time to buy the instrument. And sometimes many of us are so focused on buying the instrument that we haven't even taken time to learn the lessons. And so I wrote this down on yesterday, and I'm sharing it with the audience that's listening right now. Until you learn the lessons, people would never pay to see you perform.
That's right.
And so just this past week, I had the opportunity to go and speak to some VIPs in the Atlanta area. And I shared the sentiment with them is that we have to build a foundation first. We have to work on us. As entrepreneurs, we have to work on us. And it's easy for us to push a product, but if that product is not in our heart, then people will be able to feel it when they put that product in their hand. People will be able to hear it when we start releasing our passion and our vision. If it's not in our heart, it's going to come out in our words. And so that entire journey of all of the things that I went through, all of the hardships, all of the times when the lights were being turned off and the water was being turned off. And most people don't want to go through those things, but those are the things that make you grind harder. For me, those are the things that make you dig deeper. So every entrepreneur that's listening to me right now, I just want to encourage you to wake your successful self up and learn the lessons and know that eventually people are going to pay to see you perform.
You touched a lot of points right there. When you talk about water and lights going off, I'm like, oh, man.
Absolutely. That's the part that people don't want to talk about. And none of this stuff is glamorized.
Exactly.
None of this stuff is glamorized, and none of it is easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's
and
right.
I think that a lot of people confuse the fact that I know that there are many of us, we're entrepreneurs within our own right, but I think that the balance of it all is knowing that everybody can't be in charge. Someone has to still have that entrepreneurial mindset when you may not necessarily be the entrepreneur in charge, because some of us are really designed to help the entrepreneurs that are connected to what really matters and connected to who really matters and what really matters. We're designed to help them push what their purpose to push out into the world so that their brand as their individual brands can be stronger so that we all can be stronger.
Now, Felix, if you can just tell us exactly what does Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement, do? What do you do? How do you help people?
How I help people wake your successful self up. What we do, we teach people how to better serve themselves and those who are around them. We do consultation. We go into businesses that are both small and large. We go into organizations. We go into people's lives. We go into people's visions. We become part of your brand. There's an old brand called BASF. They said we don't make a lot of the products that you buy. We make a lot of the products that you buy better. So what Wake Your Successful Self Up does as a whole, we bring clarity to vision. We connect with people who already know what it is that they're purposed to do. We connect with people that know how they wanted to get it done. They just don't have clarity in terms of how they need to get it done. So we provide the systems, we provide the tools that are necessary for them to go out and do what it is that they're purposed to do. These are the individuals that we connect with. What we do, we're not purposed to be in people's lives for a long period of time. We're purposed to be in your life for a 3 to 6 month, a year, or a 2 year basis, depending on where you are and what you need assistance with. But after we get you to wake your successful self up, we consider ourselves as general practitioners. So after we get you to wake your successful self up, and you may need advice and wisdom concerning money or real estate or whatever it is, we then send you to the specialist. So once you come to me and we get you to wake up, we then send you out in the community of people that we're connected with. We'll send you to someone like yourself. We'll send people to someone like yourself so that you can show them the area that you specialize in so that we can keep everything in the community.
Man, that concept is great. It's a basic concept that a lot of people don't follow, and they really should, because what you're doing is you're serving. You're serving and you're giving.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was in a room full of VIPs, and I shared this with them. I said, I'm going to give you everything that I have. I said, because when you come to a session, when people are listening to us right now, I can literally, on this phone right now, tell people how to do what it is that they need to do, and it takes nothing away from who I am and what I do. If people are connected to me and I can no longer serve them, then I need to be connected to someone like you that can so that you can serve them in your area. I can't do this alone. And so our job is to make sure that we stay connected to the people that are masters of their craft, because in my mind, I am a king that serves kings. That's my mindset. That's my mindset.
Man, I gotta remember that, a king that serves kings. I'm writing that down, man.
Absolutely.
We're on the line with Mr. Felix Anderson, founder of Wake Your Successful Self Up, the movement. I wanted to ask you had talked about financing, and I know financing for entrepreneurs can be tricky sometimes. And you said that earlier in the conversation that you had to go back so you could get some funding. How did you come about that funding?
Well, the funding was a little bit different because I had to put myself in a position to learn how to receive.
Okay.
I had to put myself in a position to learn how to receive. What was challenging for me was asking people for help. And I realized at that point is that I can't do this by myself. And I think the mistake that many of us make is that we want to give birth to things. We also want to clean the baby up. We want to cut the cord. We want to sew ourselves back up. But I believe that there are 3 types of people that you need in your life. I call them your Josephs. You need 3 types of people in order for your vision, your dream, or whatever your goal is to come to pass. The first Joseph that you need, you're going to need an administrator. You're going to need somebody with an administrative mindset, somebody who has administrative gifts. Then the second Joseph that you're going to need in your life, you're going to need somebody who is a nurturer. And these are the people that I had to surround myself with so that I can get the necessary finances that I needed. This is why when you see certain organizations, you have the CEO and you have the chief executive officer of this organization. Most of the time, they have certain fundraising skill sets, but most organizations have a sales department. And they have a marketing department. And so I had to surround myself with people who could nurture my gift with their gift, people who had a sales acumen that I didn't have. So I had to put myself in a place, a humbling place, and ask them, what do you see that I can do different based on your area of expertise? Then I had to get a Joseph of Arimathea. Joseph of Arimathea, for those that ascribe to the Bible, Joseph of Arimathea was what the Bible referred to as Jesus' rich disciple. And so these are people who fund your vision. These are people who can care less about your T-shirts. All they want to do is invest in your vision. I think it was Walt Disney that said this. He says, you don't have to like my vision, but you should be wise enough to invest in it. You don't have to like what I'm doing, but you should see what I'm doing is progressing enough that you should invest in it. And so I received my resources in an odd way. I had people from all over sending me money, and I didn't know how to take it. So I took that money and I put it right back into the organization. As I put it right back into the organization, I saw that it kept growing and growing and growing. And even to this day, whenever someone releases money to me, I have to ask myself two things. Number one, is this money for me, or am I a medium of exchange? And so with Wake Your Successful Self Up, we serve people with money. This is why you'll hear me always say, I don't chase money. Money chase me, but I do leave it a memo to tell it where I'm going to be. This is why you'll always hear me say that. This is what I say over myself concerning money. I say that money likes me, people like me, and favor likes me as well. And these are three things that I say over myself. And so I realized that once I stopped focusing on the money started coming. Once I stopped focusing on the money started coming. And it wasn't always easy, but what it does, it causes you to produce a better product, because as you know, you talk about e-commerce. If you release what's on the inside of you and it's pure and you mean people well, people will purchase it.
Exactly. And that's almost an antithesis of what we're taught most times. Being able to wrap your head around that concept, was that hard for you? Or was that innate for you?
It was hard for me because I had an issue with receiving. And that's when I realized that nothing is free. This is when I realized that anytime I give somebody information, I demand that you deposit something back into my life. I think when you were in Mississippi, and I shared with those that were attending, anytime somebody make an investment into you and you don't invest back, you're out of order. And so what I had to begin to start doing is that I had to realize that whenever I release something should come back. If it doesn't come back, then I need to go ahead and bury that thing, because it's no longer productive and it's no longer fruitful. So I only keep releasing things that are fruitful. If it's no longer fruitful, then I no longer release it. That's a simple principle of getting the resources that you need to come into you. When people talk about monetizing social media, I got online and I didn't have a dime to my name. On my first book, I didn't have a dime to my name to contribute to purchasing my first batch of books. This is what I did. I said, I'm going to put my books up for pre-order. For those of you all who are listening on the broadcast, I want you to do this for your book. I said, I'm going to put my book up for pre-order, because I didn't have in my budget, I did not have the monies to just buy a stack of books. So what I said, I put it up for pre-order. Little did I know, my first set of pre-orders handled my first batch of books.
Wow.
All I had to do was release it. When I released it, people will begin to release to me what I had already released. So they supplied the resources that I need, but they were waiting on me to release the book that they needed.
Yeah, that's powerful, brother. BEB family, light bulb needs to go off. Please take note of that last statement. Can you repeat that for me, brother?
People are waiting on us to release so that they can release.
There you go.
This is why I say the value of a seed is greater than the value of a sale. I say that all the time, because I was releasing my words on social media and people were sending me the resources that I needed because they understood the value of my word. And what's simple to you may be life-changing for me. This is why we say iron sharpens iron, but you can't be sharp hanging around butter-knife people. So if we speak truth to life, and if there's something that I'm saying to you causes you to go out and make $100,000 just based on one sentence, the combination or the light bulb can go off in your head, and that one sentence can answer all the questions that you need. If you look at Pharaoh and the Joseph, the first Joseph that I talked about, if you look at the Pharaoh and the first Joseph, nothing that he said to him in his interpretation of his dream was complicated. Everything was simple. He said, we're going to have 7 years of famine, 7 years of flourishing. This is what's going to happen. This is what you need to do. Simple instructions. What makes success hard for many people in the areas of finances and getting what they need to receive. What makes success hard isn't our ability to do certain things. What makes success hard is really our inability to submit to a system that we didn't create. And so if someone tells you to go out and sell a product, you may not have the money, but by the time you come back, you will have the resources that you need in order to facilitate your dream.
That's powerful. Now, I know a lot of times people want to get the resources before they release, and that's the problem.
That's the problem. You want the resources before you release, but you have to release it first, because it's almost as if and I grew up around guys who did a lot of illegal things. I'll just put it that way. I grew up around guys who did a lot of illegal things. And one of the principles that I learned from these guys who did a lot of things, they would front their dealers a product. But the dealers had to be released to go and sell the product. Once they went to go sell the product, they had to bring the product back. If they didn't bring the product back and the monies that they received from the product back and couldn't be trusted with that, then more was not released to them. And this is why I say, Jay, we don't have a receiving problem. We have a releasing problem. Mm-hmm. So every resource that you need is already on the inside of you. The dreams, the businesses, all you have to do is release it. And there's somebody out there that's ready to help you fund it.
It's funny because I never even thought about it like that. I knew always to give in order to receive, but just the way that you laid it down, that's very powerful. And I'm hoping all the BEB family takes note of that. Brother Felix, let me ask you, with your business, who are your customers, or who are your ideal customers, and how do you connect with them?
My ideal customer are individuals who have believed at some point and they've gotten stuck. My ideal customer are individuals who know what it is that they're purposed to do. They just don't have clarity to vision. My ideal customer are people who are going through hell, and they don't know how they're going to get out of hell. My ideal customer are people that are just absolutely stuck mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. And this is why we unapologetically say to them, wake your successful self up. This is why we teach individuals how to dominate their distractions. This is why we teach individuals how to believe big again. My ideal customer are individuals who have dreams, goals, but they don't have the systems and the tools that are necessary. What I do, my area of expertise is creating systems and creating structure so that you can soar. My ideal expertise is giving you the opportunity to see things in a much clearer fashion than you've ever seen it before. I say this all the time. The reason why people make things complicated is because they don't want you to duplicate it. So what my job, my assignment is to take your vision and your goal and to break it down in its simplest form so that you can run with it, and so that people that are connected to you can see what it is that you're doing. It's no different than when you look at a can of Coke, and when you look at a soft drink, they have words on the back of that can of Coke or that soft drink or chips. They have words on the back of those chips that you can't pronounce. Even with your toothpaste, you can't pronounce it. But when you look at the front of your toothpaste cover, it says, fights tartar, whitens teeth. They make it plain on the front side while it's complicated on the back side. We help you make everything simple on the front end so that people can come in and purchase your product.
Yeah, that's very concise. And so that's another thing. Anybody in business needs to know exactly who they serve and how they serve them. If you don't know that, then you're not in business for real.
You're not in business. And oftentimes you won't know, and this is what I've learned, you won't know who your ideal customer is until after you release the product. Right. That's when you get your metrics. That's when you get your data. And many people are stuck because they're trying to find an ideal customer from a product that they've never released.
Right. So you need that feedback. And that feedback
you need that feedback corner. You need that feedback corner. And you need, this is why customer service reviews are important. Mm-hmm. This is why all of these things are important. You need people to rub you the wrong way. You need people that are critical of your product to tell you everything that's wrong with your product so that you can make it right.
Let me ask you real quick, what 3 pieces of advice would you offer to entrepreneurs and prospective entrepreneurs today if they came up and asked you?
The first thing I would tell them to do is to prepare. And I know this is going to sound elementary, but the first thing I would tell everyone to do is to prepare. I believe that the level at which you prepare is the level at which you'll propel. And I think, again, as I alluded to earlier, many of us, we're trying to do the concert when we haven't learned the lessons yet. And so the first thing I would tell them to do is to prepare. The second thing I would tell them to do is to learn how to listen. If I had to do it all over again, one of the greatest pieces of advice I can give anyone is to learn how to listen, because people will tell you exactly what they need and exactly what they want if you take the time to listen to what it is that they want. I had people telling me that you need to put Wake Your Successful Self up on a t-shirt. Had I not listened to them, because I didn't want to be in a t-shirt business, had I not listened to them, then I wouldn't have found out how to really market my brand. I was marketing Wake Your Successful Self Up and didn't even know I was marketing Wake Your Successful Self Up. So when you look at, some people look at t-shirt businesses or t-shirts as a means of making money. I look at it as a means of marketing. That's how I look at it. All a t-shirt is a marketing tool for me. That's it.
Makes sense.
And so I had to learn how to listen to my customers. When I had somebody say to me, oh, wow, man, why don't you put Wake Your Successful Self Up quotes in a book? And so because I listened to them, then I created a book called Level Your Language Up. 365 days to wake your successful self up. And all it was quotes from the Wake Your Successful Self Up movement that I had already shared. I just compiled and put them in a book.
Repurpose. Yep.
I repurposed my purpose. So the first thing I would tell individuals to do is to prepare. The second thing first thing is to prepare. Second thing is to listen. And then the third thing I would tell people to do is really never get married to methods. Never get married to methods. You have what I call three M's. You have the man, you have the message, and you have the method. All 3 must be in unison in order for your brand to work. All 3 must be in unison. You have the man, you have the message, and you have the method. Many times people love you as the person. That's the man. People love your message. That's great. But many times our methods are antiquated and we refuse to make the necessary investments that we need to make in our own personal brand. I tell people this all the time. You have to protect the brand, protect the boss, protect the business. And when you look at the methods by which you use to convey your message, then it's going to really determine how effective your brand is. That's the greatest thing that I can tell people to do. Never get married to methods. Be flexible. If you understand that broadcasting was what your purpose to do for a season, you have to understand that you won't be as effective as you need to be until you learn what your core audience is really asking for. So we're broadcasting when your audience may be asking you for more books. This is what made Rick Warren so successful. Even though he was pastoring this great church, he had to change his method. Once he changed his method, then the purpose-driven life took off. That's when it took off. John Maxwell, the same way. They had to change their methods. Once they changed their methods, everything else took off.
Excellent.
Never get married to methods.
Excellent 3 pieces of advice. We touched on it a little bit earlier. We know as seasoned entrepreneurs, you and I, but we have some listeners that are prospective entrepreneurs, and we know everything is not gravy. It's not 0 to 100. Can you tell us about a time in your business where you failed or had a major setback, and how did you overcome it, if you overcame it, and what did you learn from it?
In my business, I think one of the greatest things that I failed to do was really count the cost.
Okay.
And particular business that I'm thinking about, it was my concierge business, was that I didn't count the cost. And so I left the job that I was working with to pursue this full time. And when I didn't count the cost, it cost me gravely, because it almost cost me my home. It almost cost me my marriage, because I did not count the cost. That's the greatest thing that I could ever tell someone to do, is to make sure that you count the cost. Because it's easy to have these ideas in your head, but if you don't have the wisdom that's necessary, and if you don't make sure that you have your game plan lined up, then you're going to fall flat on your face. Make sure you count the cost. That's one of the greatest setbacks that I had, is because I overestimated my gift, and I did not really calculate and identify the market well.
How did you overcome that? Or did you just say, you know what, I got to regroup and come back again? So were you able to overcome it or not?
I was actually able to overcome it. And this is where I learned this lesson. You have to let certain things that you started die. And sometimes you have to come back and revisit it later. It doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't good. It just wasn't good right now.
Great advice.
And so I had to rebound off of that thing. And so I had to let that die. I had to let that dissolve, because it was no longer fitting for the market in which I was in. It's a great thing. It can thrive in a different market, just like you can have an NBA player that can be average on one team. But if you get him into the right system, then he's going to thrive in that particular system. Our businesses are the same way. You have to make sure that our business is conducive to the market that's around us. Because if it's not conducive to the markets around us, no matter how great of an idea it is, it will not work or be as effective as it's purposed to be, because it's not planted in the right place.
One of the things I must say to you, brother, it's almost like, man, we're twins. Because I'm telling you, a lot of the same things that you talk about, I've experienced also. And I shared some of that when I was out in Mississippi. And it's funny, because when you hear the stories or similar stories of other entrepreneurs, it kind of just validates that, okay, I'm not the only crazy one out here. We got some brothers and sisters out here just as crazy as I am. But
right.
not as crazy, but as committed and as driven. But because when you sit down and you talk to a lot of people, and if you share your story, and I'm sure this has happened to you before, right, and some people may look at you like, wow, this guy, he's crazy. Why would he do that? Why would he go through all of that? But they don't understand that this is something that's innate. This is something that you knew you were destined to do. And when you have that assignment and you understand your assignment, you're going to follow through with that assignment. It's just like when Moses got the assignment. He was like, Lord, how am I going to free the slaves? Who am I?
Right. Absolutely.
So absolutely. It wasn't that he necessarily wanted the assignment, but he recognized and understood that he had that assignment, and he continued to complete it. So, hey, I give you kudos, and I commend you, brother, for fighting the good fight, man, and doing these great things.
That's right. And it's not always easy. And that's the myth. And I've learned this, not to really buy into fantasies, not to buy into the lies. I see people say this all the time, and I see it, and I'm one that would uncover and speak truth to life, because when you walk in the true entrepreneurial journey, it's not games and gimmicks. For me, this walk is about legacy, and this walk is about freedom. To be able to be at home and to welcome my son when he gets home at a certain hour means all the world. It means everything to me. To be able to not have to act. This is my mindset, Jay. If I have to ask you for permission to take my time off to spend time with my family, I am not an employee, I'm a slave.
Amen. Amen.
If I have to come to you and ask you for permission to take off work, I am not an employee, I'm a slave. That means I have no freedom. I've given my freedom over to you. That means I have to ask somebody else for permission for something that God gave me, which is my time.
That's it.
And I say this all the time, my gift is free, but my time ain't.
I like it.
And so if I go back and I work with an organization for under a 1 or 2 year contract, then I can literally leave anytime I want to because I'm not bound to that. And so most people talk about multiple streams of income. I don't believe in multiple streams of income. While I understand what most people mean, I believe in multiple rivers of income because I had to level my language up, you see, because streams get blocked. Anytime something tries to impose a river or gets in the way of the currency of the river, the currency is so strong that it will move whatever is in his way out of his way. So I believe that I'm a river that's flowing. And as a river that's flowing, I can't allow anything to mess with my currency. So I got to keep my current flowing. I got to keep flowing. And if you get in my way, then I'm gonna move you out of the way because, again, if you mess with my time, you messing with my paper.
Most definitely. You can't mess with anybody's paper. Nah.
Absolutely.
Man, okay. We're going to close it out shortly, Brother Felix. I just got a couple more questions for you.
Sure, no problem at all.
Where do you see yourself in your business in 5 years?
We're actually expanding. We're growing. Wake Your Successful Self Up now has become the Walmart of brands. We are now hosting, and we're now the hub for a lot of different other brands that are connected to us. I have people who are specialists as it relates to writing, people who are specialists as it relates to purpose, and whatever their specialist is. And so whatever areas in which you need to wake your successful self up in, then we are, again, as I mentioned and alluded to earlier, we are general practitioners. So you come to us, we find out what's wrong with you, and we send you off to specialists. That's what Wake Your Successful Self Up is all about. Again, we live to give, and tipping is our hobby, and we're purposed to serve people and help point people in the right direction. And that's the core of everything that we do. We teach people basic practical principles on how to better serve themselves and those who are around them. So in the next 5 years, we'll be in multiple countries. We're already in Lusaka, Zambia right now. We have a team over in Lusaka, Zambia. Wake Your Successful Self Up there. We do two events there every year. iBrand Conference with a dear brother of mine who spearheads the movement over there by the name of Steady Divine. Shameless plug to him. And we also do something at the end of the year for the entrepreneurs over in Lusaka. So we're expanding. We have individuals that are connected to us all the way from Africa to Trinidad, Oklahoma, Oregon, and South Carolina. So our team is spread abroad.
Sounds like you guys are growing like wildfire, which is a blessing.
Absolutely. Now, absolutely. And it's great now that we can include this family here as part of the movement as well.
Definitely. I appreciate that, brother. Now, as an entrepreneur, do you have an exit strategy? And if so, what is that?
I'm duplicating myself.
Okay.
I'm duplicating myself because I'm not sure how long I'll be responsible for managing this movement. I always teach every entrepreneur, train your number twos and allow your number twos to train their number twos. Because I don't do jobs, I do assignments.
Right.
And right now, Wake Your Successful Self Up is an assignment to me. I say this all the time. You get to choose your agenda, but you don't get to choose your assignment. And oftentimes, as you alluded to Moses, oftentimes we have to be careful of trying to take our Moses to the promised land when our Moses was only designed to deliver us.
Right.
You see? And so at some point in your life, you must let your Moses die. I even had to do that initially with Wake Your Successful Self Up because I didn't want to write another book. And so I just wanted to push the Wake Your Successful Self Up book. But I had to, at some point, stop pushing the book. And I had to allow that Wake Your Successful Self Up to die for a season so that I could give birth to Dominate Your Distraction. And so what happens and what prevents us from entering into our new is that we don't want things that we started. We don't want to let certain things die. And we don't want to pass the baton. And we are so afraid of passing the baton that passing the baton enables us to grow and go to higher levels. That's what it does for us. That's exactly for us. That's what it does for us. It allows us to grow. And then my success isn't determined by numbers. I don't measure success by numbers. I measure success by whether or not I did what I knew in my heart to do.
That makes a whole lot of sense, too. For our listeners, before I let you give all your contact information out, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family? Was there something I missed or something that you wanted to or needed to say or felt you needed to say?
Well, I just want to encourage everybody that's listening that may have given up or may be at that place of stagnation to understand that you don't get to determine you don't get to determine what you're pregnant with. Because what you're pregnant with is already on the inside of you. There's a reason why you have that dream on the inside of you, but it's your responsibility to give birth to that thing. And so what I want to challenge you to do as your brother is to push. I want to challenge you to push past petty things. I want to challenge you to push past petty people. Don't allow anything petty to paralyze your purpose. The second thing I want to challenge you to do is make sure that you get comfortable being uncomfortable. I want to make sure that as you go through this season of being uncomfortable, that you get used to it, because you cannot be pregnant with purpose and comfortable at the same time. The third thing I want to challenge you to do is that as you go through your season of soreness, you have to understand that it's only for a temporary time, because just like going to the gym, your muscles will become sore before they start growing. So you'll experience soreness before you see the soaring. And the last thing I want you to do is not worry about how it's going to happen. Just flow in your how. Don't even worry about your why. Just flow in your how. And what I mean by flowing in your how, you just need to focus on this is all I know how to do right now. Do what you know how to do, and the people that you need in your life to show you how to do what your purpose to know how to do, they'll come around you so that you can know how to do what you do better.
My man.
Push.
That's it. Push. Now, how can people contact you, man, or getting connected to you? Please make sure you give all your handles out, my brother.
Oh, wow. Listen, you can visit me on all social media platforms at Mr. Felix Anderson, Mr. Felix Anderson on all social media platforms. For those who wish to stay connected with me, you can go to MrFelixAnderson.com. That's MrFelixAnderson.com. For those that are interested in purchasing any products, you can just simply click the shop button. Everything that all of my books are there. You can go to dominateyourdistractions.com, levelyourlanguageup.com. You can go to wakeyoursuccessfulselfup.com. And we just released a new book, just coming out with our latest release, which is Divine Disconnections. Because many times we're focused on connecting to the people that's going to help us better. But many of us don't focus on the people that we need to leave, the things that we need to leave, and the situation that we need to leave so that we can become better. So those are all of the means and the ways to stay connected with me.
Cool. Now, is the MrFelixAnderson.com, that's your main hub though, right?
That is my main hub. Everything you need to know about me is at MrFelixAnderson.com.
Cool. And brother, the last question, man, I'm going to sneak this in on you now. If you had the opportunity to talk to one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Wow. If I had to talk to any person, living or dead?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Oh, just one conversation?
Yeah. Yep. Who would it be and why?
Is this a spiritual person, a business person?
Anybody, brother. Anybody.
I need to have a conversation with Jesus. Can I be in the three? because and the reason being is because I understand the power of words. And I understand that whenever you get around somebody, that whenever they speak something, it comes into existence. I want to know, how did you do it? That's what I want to know. I want to know, how did you do it? Wow, that's a broad question. Wow.
Yes.
I got like a list of people that I want to talk to.
That's tapping in, man. That's showing where you are, showing what's in you, man. That question is funny. I get a lot of people to say Jesus, and then there's some answers that I get to the question, man, that is like, wow, I never even thought of that before. I know it's off the cuff and it gives you a broad spectrum of choices, but I was just curious, man, to see what you said about that. But can't go wrong with Jesus.
Right. The first person that came into my head without me really thinking about it was actually Colin Powell.
Really? Get out of here. Why so?
It was Colin Powell because he's a master strategist. And so, how did you deal with the adversity that were around you? How did you be a person of color in your position and maintain that position with all of the opposition that you knew were around you? How did you become a great snake handler? Mm-hmm. How did you manage to stay low key and off the radar? How did you do that?
My brother, I want to thank you so much for sharing this insight and this knowledge to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. Man, once again, I'm glad I connected with you, brother, and we're going to always be connected. Anytime you got anything happening, please reach out. We'll get you back on the platform so you can share your message and your purpose to all the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family members. I appreciate you, brother, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's just amazing to be in an environment because I'll share this, and I don't want to hold the podcast up.
No problem.
This is good for me. I'll share this. It's good to be able to see a community like the community that you have that embraces all different levels of entrepreneurs, because we all speak different languages. And even though our languages may sound a little bit different, our dialect may sound a little bit different, the end game is still the same. We want to make sure that we're serving people. And so I just want to tell you, thank you so much for hosting and doing what you do to help other people wake their successful self up. Salute to you.
I appreciate you, brothers. Thank you so much, Brother Felix. And definitely let's stay in contact.
Absolutely.
That was Mr. Felix Anderson, founder of Wake Your Successful Self Up. My man laid it down for his family. I got so many takeaways, but I'm just going to limit it to a few. There were a lot of gems in today's show. One of the things that really stood out to me was when he said, if I have to ask for permission to take time off to spend with my family, I'm not an employee, I'm a slave. And he was hitting hard with it, but it kind of makes sense. If I have to ask for permission to take time off to spend with my family, I'm not an employee, I'm a slave. You know what I mean? And that's true, because when you don't have that freedom, that basically equates to being a slave, meaning you have to do certain things when somebody tells you to do it. And once again, family, I know it's a transition. And a lot of people that are listening to today's episode are trying to transition from employee to entrepreneur. But I hope today's episode and the value that Felix gave you, and also some of the stories of the trials and tribulations, I hope that touched you guys. You know, it's people always talk about motivation, but motivation is internal. I can't motivate you. Felix can't motivate you, but we can inspire you. So hopefully you'll be inspired by Felix's story about going through all of those different jobs, trying to find basically what his purpose was. And so sometimes it's not going to happen overnight, guys. It's a journey. So I really appreciated when he talked about that. Also, something else that really hit me, and he said this to me, and he actually said it to the audience when I was out in Mississippi doing my talk, one of my book talks. He said, anytime I give somebody information, I demand that you deposit something back into my life. He got up and said that. And he said, anytime that I give somebody information, I demand that you deposit something back into my life. As you heard him on today's episode, it's all about giving. It's all about service. but the people that are receiving the, the service or the giving need to understand that it's a reciprocal event. It needs to be reciprocated, and it doesn't have to be money. Okay. He said, anytime somebody makes an investment in you and you don't invest back, you're out of order. And he talked about the law of prosperity. And he didn't talk about it on today's episode, but he talked about that when I did my book talk in Tupelo a week and a half ago. So the law of prosperity, anytime somebody makes an investment in you and you don't invest back, you're out of order. So he was laying it down today, family. There's so many different takeaways that, we can get from today's show. But I think one of the biggest things is it's about service and it's about giving. We have to stop looking for the money. If we provide the service, like he said, the money will come. If we provide the service, the money will come. Now he said his gift is free, but his time costs money. And that was another nice line that I liked in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed Felix. Also, if you need to connect with him, please go to MrFelixAnderson.com. That has all of his contact information. If you need any of his services or products, you know how we do here at the BEB family. We support anybody that's on the show. Before we close on out, guys, once again, if you're interested in educated e-commerce, now is the time to do it. Last call. Last call while it's getting revamped. So go to educatedecommerce.com. Drop down under the $497 price. The coupon code is 400 last call. 400 LASTCALL. It's going to save you $400, so your investment will only be $97. And once again, the price is about to get raised on the $497 price. So if you're interested in doing it, now's the time to do it. If you guys need to connect with me, if it's anything long, please hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, go to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, JJones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, JJones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel because I have additional content that comes out only on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to be included in the BEB text line for any special notifications and reminders, please text BEB, like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, to 555-888. BEB to 555-888. LinkedIn. Please go to LinkedIn, just search J. Jones Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, and please connect with me via social media, YouTube, and all that good stuff. Also, one last note, I'll be coming to the Charlotte, North Carolina area first week in April. I'll give you details on that within the next couple of weeks, or actually next week. So it's getting finalized right now. I'm actually going to be speaking at a college there, but I'm also trying to hook up another event for the general public in Charlotte. So if anybody knows any good places in Charlotte to hold a book talk and signing, please reach out to me via email or DM or something like that. But I'll be out there the week of during April 3rd. I'll be at the college. So I'm looking at following weekend, I guess would be the 5th or the 6th or whatever, out in Charlotte. So please, if anybody knows of anything, please hit me up. I'd like to put something together real quick while I'm already in the area. I love you guys. I'll see you same time next week. Peace.